to conjure with. More on that in just a second. It's Johnny Palmer and Bruce Jones to take you through it, though, and LMP3 is already being wheeled into the pit lane. At the front of the queue, though, for the qualifying session, over 15 minutes with 6 cars to take part, is the number 8 SVC Sport Management car. And conditions, Bruce Jones, couldn't really be any better here in Portugal.
No, conditions absolutely fine. Clear blue sky, light clouding, but the track having been washed clear during the week. Very heavy rain on Wednesday, a little bit of rain on Thursday, now has got rubber on it. The drivers with every passing lap will find it better and better, more suitable for them. And looking at these cars, they really do fantastic, look fantastic. The Ram Racing number 5 Mercedes, that's one of 2 AMG Mercedes in the race. That's Ramon Vos and Tom Onslow Cole, but it's the other one. It's entered by Lee Mole with AMD tuning that has the tilt at the title. 2 cars can take the overall GTE honours. It's Babini and Busnelli in their Lamborghini leading by 7 points at the moment, and Lee Mole and Phil Keane will be starting at the moment. They're listed as 7 points down, but as with the European Le Mans Series, there's a bonus point to play for. They're desperate to get it. It's the car second in the queue that we're looking to try and grab that. That'll be Lee Mole getting to grips more and more. This car, they found they had a problem with it mid-season. It's had a rebuild, and one of the front corners wasn't quite in the state it should have been, having clogged a curve, and it's getting sweeter and sweeter every time they get out in the car. And if you're going to come on strong in a championship, do it at the end. And certainly that number 7 Mercedes really fancies its chances, and through the practice sessions so far it's been on the pace or the pace. They've got to grab every moment they can on the track, and the car they're fighting against is the one that's running behind them, which is the Ebi Motors Busnelli Babini Lamborghini, and that is the one they're fighting with. That's the one that's leading the championship.
Here's the new car, though, that hasn't yet taken part in the regular season for the Michelin Le Mans Cup, from Kessel Racing, in a very non-Kessel type livery. The very smart blue, almost metallic blue, for car number 93 from Switzerland, and it's Claudio Schiavoni and Andrea Pacini, the 2 drivers. Schiavoni having to do the qualifying because he's the bronze element of the 2-driver lineup, and that's the beauty of this championship. Saturday qualifying has to be done by the bronze driver. So it will be Ramon Vos in the number 5 machine, that car yet to join the session. Lee Mole driving the adjusted number 7 Mercedes. I remember speaking to Lee at Le Mans, actually, when he thought it was actually the tyres that were a struggle. He just couldn't get his head around the Michelins when the car is raced elsewhere in the UK, in fact, as part of the British GT Championship. British GT don't run on Michelins, and he could get to grips with the other tyre manufacturer, just not these. And it turned out to be a far more integral issue, but it took them the bulk of the season to actually work that out. Cedric Mezar at the wheel of the orange 8 Lamborghini. We have Andrew Baker driving the number 20 Gulf Racing Porsche. Emmanuel Brusnelli driving this car, the EB Motors Lamborghini Huracan. And as I say, Schiavoni for Kessel Racing in the 93. And it's going to be a straight in and out, or out and in job for the 46 car.
Yeah, no sooner you talked about Busnelli, and he's coming into the pits to try and find you. You've obviously mispronounced his name, or come on, mate. But leading the way down into the first corner, into that dip, and then the rise is Lee Mole in the 7 Mercedes, but the 46 entry, the Lamborghini from Ebi Motors in the pit lane. A fresh set of rubber coming out, beautifully shiny set of slick tyres being prepared for Emanuele Busnelli. 15 minutes as opposed to 10. You see, we've still got more time on the clock than the Chargers in the European Le Mans Series qualifying had at each of their sessions. So time to adjust, and there's plenty of space out on the circuit. Lee Mole, light flashing as he comes down the drop into that infield hairpin, and tucked in behind him the Lamborghini bright red one, orange one, Cedric Mezar at the wheel, French driver. His teammate also French, Steve with 2 E's in the middle. Yes, I suppose,
Steve,
isn't
yes,
it?
yeah.
Yes.
And they've been driving with each other all year. Cedric Mezar, the bronze, and Stevie S, the gold, 43 years old, but obviously having to take a watching brief in qualifying. This is crucial, again, for your gold or your platinum driver to pass on any advice that is necessary for this session. I know Andrew Baker has learnt an awful lot being partnered with Ben Barker at Spa. They also did the 2 races at Le Mans as well. I mentioned this is the 6th and final round. We will have had 7 races through the course of the year. The round at Le Mans separated into 2 55-minute affairs, one on the Thursday and one on the Saturday morning of the big race, with half points on offer. That's the reason why we have this Rather messy totals in the championship. 91.5 for EB Motors, 84.5 for Lee Mole, etc, etc. But yeah, it's still within the grasp of the 7 crew. The Lee Mole entered Mercedes AMG, which is bouncing around on the main straight, and it goes into that little hole at the end of the main straight. There's the chicane that not using this weekend. Succession of right-handers now, heading into turn number 3. Lee Mole being pursued by Cedric Mézard. Raymond Vos, not taking part in Spa-Francorchamps a month ago, was all set to, but then sadly had to withdraw from the race with only a few days to spare. I think Thomas Lecole, his teammate, and Raymond, quick to admit this has not been their season. They've always had the speed, but have been involved in accidents generally not of their making. And Thomas Lecole sort of admitting at Paul Ricard that maybe they're going to have to write the championship title race off for this year. But they've learned an awful lot, racing in other championships as well, including the 24-hour series. Oh, but a spin for Raymond Vos, unless he can get it back. No, he can't. That's at turn...
That's 14 to 15.
Yes, turn 14, the hairpin. And that's also downhill as well as very much right.
In fact, all he'd have seen as it started going around with the grandstands cut into the hillside that swoop all the way around that final corner. But he caught it as soon as it started going, but sadly not before it started going. That was the problem there. But still time to get it together if he hasn't flat spotted those tyres too badly. If he has, he's got to call in and get some fresh rubber from the pits. But still time of plenty, 9 and a bit minutes remaining. Fastest time on the board, 1 minute 49.037 seconds, set not by number 7 Mercedes of Lee Mole. He's a tenth of a second down by the car behind the orange Lamborghini. Cedric Mézard is fastest of all. That's the one just bobbing up over the rise onto the start-finish straight. Will there be improvements this time around? Yes, Lee Mole goes 1 minute 46.781. No improvement from, well, not enough of an improvement from Cedric Mézard. Let's take a look. Raymond Vos, the top of the hill, going along that sort of knife-edge ridge, and he just, the tail came round on him as he turned into the right hand. It's not a hairpin, it's a sharp corner leading into a far more open corner. But I think, yes, he might need some fresh rubber. There was a fair bit of sideways travel across the grain of the tyre.
Obviously, Mercedes, big front engine car, but there's a fair bit of weight in the rear as well, because the cockpit very much rearward where you sit, and that pendulum effect took a little while to come into being. By the time he realised he was sideways, it was too late to gather it up. Now,
turn 12, I think we'll call it, at the top of the hill is where the drivers in all the classes, in all the categories and championships seem to be running wide. In qualifying, it's such a tricky corner. If you carry in too much speed, you can't scrub it off, and any driver who puts 4 wheels over the white line outside the circuit will have that time taken away. No difference in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, so I think that lap for 46 for Busnelli will be taken away, I'm afraid. All 4 wheels over the white line and out. Number 5 still going after that spin. In fact, I think that's pretty much at the same point of the circuit. Raymond Vos, yes, he's come around, he's 15 to 16, hit the curb on the inside. That was where, of course, we saw one of the cars, the Algarve Pro Racing car, going over the curb on the inside, getting a massive series of bounces and then just not being able to turn into the final corner. How fast a lap was that? So Raymond Vos actually goes fastest of all by half a second with that lap. So maybe square tyres are good tyres.
Yes, seems not to be affected, doesn't it? With very flat Michelin tyres on all 4 corners, you would think. But we'll see whether they last the distance. Maybe on this cut and thrust 15-minute session, he will be fine as long as he doesn't carry those tyres into the race. Still Lee Mole and Cedric Mézard circulating at very close quarters, and Lee Mole just setting a time marginally quicker than Cedric by 0.2 of a second. So Mole second fastest, Mézard third quickest, Andrew Baker fourth fastest, and Claudio Schiavoni in the Kessel Racing Ferrari fifth quickest.
Yes, haven't seen so much of Andrew Baker, the Gulf Racing UK liveried Porsche out on the circuit. Right now we're looking at Busnelli, number 46 Lamborghini. Going around for EB Motors, Busnelli slowest of everybody, but shouldn't be for a great deal longer because he's just set the fastest middle sector of anybody. 6 cars in the GT3 category in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. Fabulous shot there, the high point on the circuit. That's going along the top of the hill from turn 13 to 14, and then you start coming down. That is where Raymond Vos went for the start of his spin, but he didn't go too far, and at the moment he is at the top of the time charts, and Busnelli, who we're looking at now, fleetingly down in last place overall. Buddy set the fastest middle sector. That's just been beaten, as has the first sector time by Raymond Vos. Raymond going faster and faster. Busnelli should be able to pick himself off the bottom of the time chart. 6 minutes remaining. Goes into second place. So it's Mercedes from Lamborghini from Mercedes from Lamborghini. See if you can find a pattern in that. Top 4 cars.
Yeah, fairly obvious. With Busnelli having 1 lap deleted. Also, Cedric Mezar will have this lap taken from him. But Busnelli's last lap was absolutely fine. He didn't run out wide and at turn 12. But Mezar's, lap 5 will be deleted. So this is the end of lap 5 now for the orange Lamborghini. Limol should be okay though. And he's up through the first sector. Link it all together and you get a 1:47.1, which keeps him 3rd fastest.
What he's done though, Johnny, he's done 3 laps very close in time to each other. The other people have been doing laps that are appreciably quicker or slower, so he's finding the consistency. He's now got to find the out and out speed. He'd love that bonus point. At the moment he's sitting 7 points down on Babini and Busnelli, who lead the championship. If he could bring that down to 6, it does his running the team's math becomes easier, but it just gives him a bit of a tailwind into this final round. Sharing with Phil Keane. He's very happy to be sharing with Phil Keane because Phil is absolutely mighty in a GT3 car. Yeah,
certainly is. The old partnership is back together then, because Dominic Baumann actually sitting in for Phil Keane. Last time at Spa, the round of the ELMS clashed, or the Michelin Le Mans Cup clashed with British GT finals, and Phil Keane was busy at Donington Park with John Minshaw. Sadly, they missed out on the title. But Phil Keane back in now, the 7th fold. It means he can't be drivers' champion because he's a round behind Limol, but they'll still be gunning for the team's championship this weekend. There is Busnelli working his way through the final corner again. This will
should be about to go top. He's got to find 4/10 of a second. He's a fraction down on his best, so no improvement. So Tom Onslow, Cole and Phil Keane in the pit garage looking on, blinking, laughing slightly. That nervous way you do when your teammate's out. So there's nothing you can do about what they're doing on the track. You hope they get a good run in. But for Fabio Babini in the pits, he'll be enjoying the fact that Busnelli is 2nd fastest. In fact, the cap's just gone out because Raymond Vos has gone faster still. 1:46.0 now. 2/3 of a second quicker than anybody else. So Ram Racing, they're looking on with bated breath. Their car, number 5, was fastest, is now faster than before. 1:46.031, trying to see how good the start of this lap will be. See if he's going to carry on improving.
Interestingly, Phil Keane is watching the session in the Ram Racing garage, so paying perhaps not as much attention to his teammate Lee Moll, but they all run Mercedes. And he's standing there in the AMG t-shirt with Dan Shufflebottom just in front of him, nervously watching Raymond Vos. But I think after that early spin, Vos has got to grips with this track. May well have done a fair bit of mileage around it in other categories, and it's a good place to come testing as well. There's plenty of opportunity through the year to pick a test day, and I'm sure Tom Onslow-Cole has made sure that Raymond's got plenty of mileage in ahead of this round. Down the swoop, there is Tom Onslow-Cole standing next to Phil Keane in the grey t-shirt. And up the other side after that deep compression comes Raymond Vos with a good run through that tight left-hander at the top of the hill. He's up again on this lap, 1:46.031 to beat, and I think he may well do that to extend the advantage from 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, well, his middle sector wasn't the very greatest, but his first sector most notably was again cutting that very tight inside line. You just don't want the drivers don't want the cars running out wide, because turn 15 and 16 goes on and on and on. Will he get into the 1:45s? Let's see, 1:46.145. He's 1/10 of a second down on his best. No one else close to him. But as I say that, Busnelli has just improved his time. That's slotted in, was second, stays second. He's now just 1/4 of a second in arrears. So, yes, the Smiles are slightly nervous down there in the Ram Racing garage. So it's Vos in the Mercedes, Busnelli in his Lamborghini, and Lee Moll is 3rd fastest in his Mercedes. And don't forget, it's the Lamborghini, Busnelli, and the Mercedes and Moll that are fighting for the title honours in the GT3 class. Who is going to topple Vos? The clock is ticked down into the final 2 minutes now. Looking at Busnelli in the 46 Lamborghini.
The other thing to bear in mind is that Emanuele Busnelli has proved himself to be quite a qualification specialist this year. We've had 6 races so far, as I mentioned, in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, and he's managed 4 pole positions. Other poles coming actually at Le Mans for TF Sport and for Gulf Racing UK. But Busnelli in the regular races for the Michelin Le Mans Cup this year has been unbeatable. So is this the first pole for the number 5 car, potentially? Raymond Vos has done, well, most of the job, but there's a few more laps to go yet. The end of this one, and one more for the EB Motors Lamborghini.
Yeah, not seeing quick laps being put in at the moment. Actually, it's a pretty consistent lap from Raymond Vos, but I haven't seen any blue timing, turquoise timing on us. Ah, right, Andrew Baker, taught by Ben Barker. Barker, get quite close together there in terms of name, but at the moment Baker is bottom of the pile. His best at 1 minute 49.2, 3 and a bit seconds down, but learning as he goes and thoroughly enjoying, I'm sure, this wonderful circuit. Just look at the sights. Those are turns 8 and 9, and the track kicks up over the top of a mound, and then you drop into a compression. Windmills waving away in the background into the compression at turn 10. Very quick corner. More to the point, you see a car going through there in good trim, it looks fairly undramatic. See a car that's not handling well, and there's drama aplenty going on, because it's a very quick and tricky corner.
Well, just delicately bringing the Porsche through that tricky, turn 12, and then there's a spin after the deep compression, and that's what can happen when you lose grip. The car becomes slightly unweighted, and quite a bit of smoke coming from the engine cover of that car, or whether it's just the dust clearing perhaps on the rear wheels.
Let's have a look, because they'd still be spinning.
Yes, yeah, maybe it was more tyre smoke actually from underneath the engine. I saw the dust, but it looked to be a different consistency maybe. There is a stack of gravel now right across the circuit. Checkered
flag is out, don't forget. That came out. It was about 10 seconds to go when Andrew Baker started that spin, and probably about 2 seconds to go by the time he ended up with his own signature across the circuit at the top of the hill.
And that will obviously lock in the positions now, because anyone else on a potential quick lap will have to head through the yellow flag area at turn 14, as it's labelled, interestingly. That's a bit more like it. Turn 14, the incident area. Car 46 of Emanuele Busnelli goes through. The EB Motors Lamborghini, he can't improve because of the caution. And Raymond Vos then, looking like he'll get his first pole position of the year in this car, the number 5 Ram Racing entered Mercedes.
When he comes across Andrew Baker's Porsche, which is at the side of the circuit, across the circuit, that's been indicated. Lap 7 was the lap that Raymond Vos took what we consider now to be pole position. Lap 8 was the one he followed it with, and he had that taken away for exceeding track limits. So you can go to the edge, but not beyond. So it's Mercedes on pole for the Michelin Le Mans Cup. That's the GT3 runners and the LMP3 big hitters coming out in a few moments' time. First, of course, Andrew Baker have to have that Porsche removed from the top of the circuit. Shouldn't be too hard. So, thumbs up from Raymond's teammate, Tom Onslow-Cole. So, very happy camp at Ram Racing. And there is Raymond, Dutch racer, bringing his car into the pit lane. He'll be very pleased in that. And don't forget, of course, Johnny, he had that spin early on where he might have been thinking, it's gone horribly wrong.
Yes, absolutely. And came back from adversity, I suppose. Didn't let it affect him, put it aside, as all good sports people must, and concentrate on the job in hand, and it didn't affect him at all. Really smart looking car there, understated livery, as I say. The Ram Racing crew headed by Dan Shufflebottom, who was one of the crew in the garage watching every move that the number 5 car made, and he's come out on top by 0.255 of a second, with Emanuele Busnelli the only car still out there when the checkered flag was displayed. Andrew Baker limping back to the pit lane, and the 2 Mercedes now line astern in the garage.
First and third. I loved the way you said uncomplicated livery on the number 5 Ram Racing car. You just mean no sponsorship stickers, don't you?
Yes, exactly that.
There are your times, Johnny.
Here is the Ram Racing car then, 146.031 in the dark grey colours of Ram Racing. EB Motors number 46 car, championship leaders, so they miss out on that point. They miss out on pole position by a quarter of a second. Lee Mole third fastest in the Lee Mole Mercedes, ahead of Cedric Mezar for SVC, Claudio Schiavone for Kessel Racing, and Andrew Baker, despite that late spin, had already done a 149.280, and that means he will start at the back of the field. We do get quite a bit of overlap though in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, so pole position in GTs might be as far up as maybe the 4th row in the LMP3s, and those cars are due out on track next. It'll be another 15-minute session to bring to a close quite a lot of qualifying that we've had this afternoon in and around some TCR races here at Portimão as well. And here is the number 3 car, already champions for this year. The team from Luxembourg, DKR Engineering, and their 2 drivers, Alex Torrell and Jean Gloria, having already sewn up the title in Belgium a month ago. Jean Gloria at his home race at the time.
Didn't they do so in style? Second in the opening race of the series. Took a tumble in the first of the 2 races at Le Mans, but has won everything since. 4 wins on the trot. That is how you win a championship.
Yeah, tremendous effort from particularly Jean Gloria, who is a bronze driver, although that will change heading into next year. He'll be doing the qualifying, as always, and Jean Gloria with 5 pole positions to his name from 6 races as well, so he's been a qualification specialist too. The other pole came at Red Bull Ring for SPV Motorsport, who are not here this weekend, but we do have 13 LMP3s. Some of the teams, Duquesne Engineering that we see in the main European Le Mans series, RLR also here, United Autosports, Graf. There's quite a bit of overlap actually between the two, but it's great to see other teams making the step into international motorsport, like Nielsen Racing, who race LMP3s in the UK as well as now around Europe, Motorsport 98 from Belgium, and N-Race, the French outfit with Alain Costa and Stéphane Tribardini, who is the new driver for their crew. And that's actually one of a few where both drivers are bronze, so there's a decision to be made as to who does the qualifying. Same goes for number 23, the United Autosports Ligier. Richard Mines or Andrew Bentley could theoretically qualify the car, so we will wait and see on that count. There is an indication of the airflow for Laurent Millara. The helmet actually connected to a sort of air conditioning unit, if you like, and that makes sure that the driver's head is cool in what is reasonably warm temperatures now, 25, 26 degrees I think here in Portugal after a tricky start to the weekend. Didn't expect rain when we first landed at Faro on Friday morning, but this is far more like the Algarve for me.
Yeah, no, conditions looking fabulous. And if it's a circuit you've never made a visit to, I would thoroughly recommend it. Not only is it a fabulous piece of racing tarmac, but as a spectator, you can work your way around the outside of the vast majority of the circuit to see a lot of the corners and take it all in. And also from a lot of points, you can see a lot of other points from there. So It does make viewing very easy. On top of which, some of the corners, particularly that final sweep, are very, very dynamic. But for me, my vote goes to turn 10. Towards the top of the hill, you go into a compression and then have to fire left at the same time. So qualifying session number 2, 15 minutes coming up. This is for the P3 runners.
Yeah, so it's going to start in about 90 seconds time, and the LMP3 is now released from the apron to join the queue. But we need to get some reaction from Raymond Vos, who's going to be on pole position in the GT3s.
Well, Raymond, fantastic job there, especially considering you had your little moment there and, you know, your tyres probably weren't in the best position.
That's correct, indeed. My tyres weren't warm enough, and yeah, Tom and myself, we had an argument about what is the best line to take the corner, and he's obviously right, but I was still trying to prove that I was. Anyway, so that didn't work out well, but I think a lap later was good, so yeah.
Fantastic stuff, and the moral of the story is always listen to your driver coach.
I do, yeah, I will. No, he's a great coach, and yeah, we have been a bit unlucky this season, but yeah, no, yeah, this is a nice track, and I like it a lot, and Tom is a great coach, as I said, so yeah, it's good to be here.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you so much, thank you.
And they really are due some luck come the 2-hour race, which takes place, I'll remind you, tomorrow rather than later on this afternoon. But Raymond Vos often in the car when he's involved in some kind of incident, some clash with another car that invariably has not been his fault. And he's been trying to stay out of trouble, and then all of a sudden you get a clonk in the side which damages the car and they can't go any further. So Tom Onslow Cole has done a lot of sitting around and had not a great deal of chance to actually race that number 5. We wish them well for tomorrow's early start. It's a 9 o'clock start for the race as we get underway for the LMP3s now. 9 till 11 local time. So they will need to have had their cereal ahead of that race. Made sure that all the fuel is on board, both for the car and the driver. LMP3s launching their way down into turn 1 now. There's a bit of drama for the 5th car in the queue. It's going to take a while for that to get up to speed. That might be the N-Race car. And the number 4 Cool Racing by GPC entry certainly balked there. not able to get out of the pit lane quite at the speed that he will be qualifying that. Probably Alexandre Quani, who has been there all season, although there's a change in that lineup as well. Iraj Alexander is here this weekend, but concentrating on European Le Mans Series duty, so Antonin Borger brought into the team instead. But Borger's a silver, so it has to be Quani then, qualifying the number 4. Out of the hairpin, past that hospitality building, the rotunda, go the opening 4 cars, and there's the 39 machine, driven probably by Eric Trouillet. Yes, it is, sharing with the silver-graded Scott Andrews from Australia.
So DKR Engineering in the pit lane at the moment. They don't have to worry too much. They've got all the poles. They've already got the championship in the bag. So Jean Gloria is the bronze driver in that. Alexander Torrell, the Spanish racer, will be sitting out qualifying. So just keeping it cool, keeping it calm. But every time they've been on the circuit since arriving here, they've had the same stories they've had the rest of the year. They set the pace in that glorious-looking Norma.
The 2 Graf cars almost side by side as they reach the top of the hill and then head through that left-hander that we're now calling turn 12, aren't we? That's how it was identified by Eduardo Freitas in the previous session when Andrew Baker had a little spin. So 39 and not 40 in this category, it's 65 the other Graf car. I must keep reminding myself of that fact. 13 minutes to go, and over the line then to set an early time is the number 9 car from Duquesne Engineering.
Well, the way they're all weaving around, they're just still trying to get heat in their tyres. Yes, the track conditions have changed almost every time they've been out. Now they're starting to wind it up. So 9 pushing on as hard as it dares early in this session. Your Janko and Jonathan Jutke, and at the wheel it is Jorge.
Yeah, Jonathan Jorge, a Brazilian driver, 34 years old, and his first Michelin Le Mans Cup action of the year. So good to have him on board at Duquesne, joining American Joel Janko, who's done the full year. Again, there was a decision to make there because Janko could have qualified the car, being another bronze. So early pace being set by Jorge. 158.7. Well, we'll get a lot faster than that. That's his outlap. This time around will be the first of the Flyers. Jean Gloria has finally left the pits. Likewise, Jim Maguire in the United Autosports car, number 22. Eric de Donker in the 98 Motorsport 98 entry. And also Alain Costa joins the party for N-Race.
So with the 15 minutes to play with, they're a little more cautious in where they put the cars, how quickly they get out onto the circuit. They've had a fair bit of track testing time, and some of the runners were out here during the week as well. It's not the sort of circuit you can learn at the drop of a hat. It's a very, very tricky circuit, and the drivers love it accordingly. You know, you get the input right, the output can be very good indeed. And a big twitch of the tail there from the Duquesne Engineering entry as it went over the bumps between turns 15 and 16. The car totally unsettled. Don't forget we lost the Algarve Pro Racing example in the P2 class, the European Le Mans Series. At that very point, got too many bumps under the car and really lost contact with the surface and speared off into the gravel.
So Duquesne setting the pace from the Graf car of Adrian Schiller. Then it's Tony Wells driving the Nielsen car, number 79. Eric Trouillet concentrating on Michelin Le Mans Cup this weekend, so not doing ELMS, but joining his teammate Scott Andrews. There's the RLR car. Alex Capadia again, though, on double duty. Happier with the setup of this car than he is necessarily with the one in the ELMS. And also Ross Warburton, who he shares the car with, and indeed it's Ross qualifying it, has really got to grips with this Algarve circuit. Raced here, no, tested here on 4 other occasions, I understand. They did a 5th test day this week, and Ross Warburton loving this place. Alex was saying to me yesterday he considers this place to be scarier than Spa because of the, there's very little space sometimes from the edge of the track to the furniture because it throws you around like a bucking bronco. But Ross Warburton loves it, absolutely adores this place, and isn't afraid in any stretch of the imagination. So we'll see what he can do in the race. Often they stick Alex Capadia in for the opening stint of the race, and he scythes his way up the order, builds a tidy lead, and Ross takes over. So it'll probably be a similar strategy this weekend at Portimão. There's the Nielsen car, just plummeting downhill towards the final corner at 15.
That's white and blue. The target time 1 minute 45.7 becomes 1 minute 43.9 because Jonathan Jorge just improves his own time by nearly 2 seconds. That's the marker. Now a quarter of a second down. Anthony Wells in number 79. You were just talking about that. That's Nielsen Racing goes into second place. Third place now in the hands of 65. The Graf Racing Ligier with Adrian Chila, a double French partnership with Emilian Card. But it's Jorge clear by just over a quarter of a second from Tony Wells.
Gentleman in the middle of the shot with a beard, known as Sven. I have no idea what his real name is, but met Sven earlier on in the year at Le Mans and actually at Monza, the first round of the Michelin Le Mans Cup. And he looks after the sponsorship deals and also the strategy as well. Colin Noble just over his left shoulder, being the silver graded driver. Jean Gloria back over the line.
Up into fourth place. That was his first flying lap. The others ahead of him have all done 2 flyers. So being delayed in the pits, or choosing to be delayed in the pits, I think was the case for the number 3 entry from DKR Engineering, team from Luxembourg, are they not?
Yes, indeed. They are. Yeah, and we often hear the Luxembourg national anthem on the top of the podium, a piece of music I wasn't very familiar with at the start of the year, but know it off by heart now. And very tail happy indeed with Jean Gloria at the wheel. Looked like it was almost pitching the car into a spin at turn 3, but he managed to rescue that moment. There is the 79.
Second fastest at the moment, Anthony Wells. He shares that car with Colin Noble. We just saw Colin in the pit garage. Needs to find a quarter of a second, and he's going the best way about it because his first sector of the 3 is his best. The middle sector of the 3 is the best of anybody. Can he complete the lap in style? Debris on the outside of the circuit. All the balls of rubber come off the tyres into the compression onto the start-finish straight we go. The target time 1 minute 43.976. Will Wells get under 1 minute 44?
Yes.
Well, under 1 minute 43, 1 minute 42.797 on pole provisionally by 1.004 seconds. Can the number 3 entry do anything about it? Jean Gloria, at the moment it's 4 Ligiers at the top, but his Norma is 5th fastest. How good's the first part of his lap? Very good indeed. Fastest of anybody. Middle part, oh, he's backed right off. Middle part 8 seconds down on Tony Wells's bit. So the speed is in the car, in the driver for Jean Gloria. Can't tell you why he backed off to that extent in the middle part of the lap. I'm just checking the timing screens haven't gone berserk. No, they haven't. He hasn't completed the lap. We'll be doing so. It's now Anthony Wells from Adrian Chila and then Jonathan Jorge, who had those 2 laps that were very good but have been superseded. I must say that number 4 car, the Cool Racing entry, Alessandro Coigny, I think looks fantastic in that blue and grey livery. You know, you walk up and down the paddock and you take a look at the cars and the way they're presented, the way the pit garages are presented. And certainly the Cool Racing by GPC crew do a very, very impressive job indeed. Yeah,
the way they turn their garage into, well, almost a spaceship inside. There's so much expense, investment, I suppose, that the Cool Racing have brought to the championship, and it feels more like some kind of hospitality suite rather than a garage, but a really nice working environment for Cool Racing by GPC, not only for their Michelin Le Mans Cup car, but also they're in the ELMS as well. Iraj Alexander, the regular driver, and Kwani doing both races tomorrow. It's set to be a busy one with 6 hours of racing potentially to get through.
Well, looking at car 39 out on the circuit, that is Eric Trouillet, but we really need to be on car number 3. That's Jean Gloria, already the championship. Here he is, because he set the fastest first sector. Last time he did the fastest first sector of anyone, a dreadfully slow middle sector, 8 seconds down on the best pace, and then the fastest final sector. Now he's done the fastest first sector, the fastest second sector. He's at the top of the hill. That's where Andrew Baker spun in the GT3 class runners, and he's got to enter this tightish corner. Then it starts to open out downhill, then it goes flat, then it rises a little bit onto the start, finish straight out over the curves, still keeps 2 right-hand wheels on the circuit. That is fine. So pole time at the moment 1 minute 42.797 seconds, and you have to expect that is going to be toppled, but by how much will pole be going to Jean Gloria? By nearly 1.4 seconds. He's suddenly down 1 minute 41.412. The rest of you, I was playing with you.
Yeah, well, that's again an indication of how good this chap is. Jean Gloria from Belgium, and the great champion now going on to even better things possibly next year. 32 years old, surely not going to be a bronze driver for much longer with now this title under his belt. It would be great to see Jean and teammate Alex Torrell in the ELMS proper, and that surely has to be one of their ambitions.
I mean, that's one of the beauty of this championship running alongside the European Le Mans Series. It's a great way of preparing not just the drivers, but the teams, the mechanics, everyone to make the step up to the bigger championship with the longer races. But for Jean Gloria, yeah, he's backed off on this lap. This would probably be his in lap. Doesn't need to go any faster. 1.385 seconds faster than Anthony Wells. Anthony Wells in 79. There he comes. He set his fastest first sector, not his best middle sector. If his end sector's good, no, he stays close to his best, but stays in second place. 4 minutes remaining in this 15-minute section. But for DKR Engineering and Jean Gloria, very, very promising indeed. So, is there anything more in the bag for the 79 crew? Anthony Wells goes out onto another lap. He's just 2 tenths, not even that, clear of Eric Trier. Eric's going faster and faster. His last lap not his best, but the ones before had been increasingly close to the pace. But of course, Jean Gloria just sort of redefined the session, I think we can say, Johnny.
Yeah, the only Norma M30 in this division as well, so they have a little bit of an advantage, I think, because the Norma in this category generally a bit quicker than the Ligier. It's strange because we don't see the similar situation in the ELMS. But it's got to be down to the pilots as well. Alex and Miguel, his brother, Toril, very, very quick youngsters from Spain. And Jean Gloria, an able teammate. The hopping, the skipping, Duquesne Engineering there through that, again, compression, left-hand kink leading up to turn 12. And then the plummet back downhill for the number 9 car.
With all these bumps at various points around the circuit, I just wonder how uncomfortable it is for the drivers, because over the course of a longish race, you're starting to feel a bit hot, you're being rattled around. I mean, most of the circuit is very smooth indeed. There are just various places. This is one of them where there are a few bumps, a little bit further around the corner as 15 goes to 16. That's got the body language of a car that's backing right off.
Car 65, which is the Graf machine, currently 5th fastest, will have its current lap deleted due to track limits infringement at turn 1 again. So it must be on the exit of turn 1, with cars straying out too far to the left-hand side and taking plenty of curb there. This time around, the driver of the number 9 car, still the teammate of Joel Janko. It's Jonathan Jorge from Brazil, just jinking to the right-hand side to allow a quicker car through there down towards turn number 1.
Well, Jean Gloria, look aboard. He's got the map of the circuit on the steering wheel, but I don't think he's going to be using that steering wheel apart from the car being guided into the garage. With 2 minutes remaining, he's sitting on an advantage of nearly 1.4 seconds. He's made it look very, very easy indeed. But with 4 wins in the bag across the course of the championship, partnered by Alexander Toril, they really do seem to have things under control. For those behind, though, who is going to be second fastest? Will it be the number 79 car? Anthony Wells at the wheel at the moment, as he has been all qualifying and will be all qualifying, as it's one driver at a time in these cars. He is second fastest, but his advantage is a meagre 1.15 of a second. Sven passes on messages to the drivers out on the circuit, but Eric Trier, has he got anything left to challenge in 3rd place? Can he get up into 2nd in the number 39 entry from a Graf? Wells trying very hard out over the curbing at turn 12.
I just wonder whether this car's had an off in the early practice session. It's running with the all-carbon nose, which doesn't match the rest of the colour of the car. That was Alex Toril giving us a bit of a wave from the back of the garage. Big smile on his face, as you would expect. Job made a lot easier for tomorrow morning. The 21-year-old Spaniard joining the 32-year-old Belgian, and it would be a brave man to bet against those 2 guys taking victory again this year in the Michelin Le Mans Cup to seal their championship in style. There is Alexandre Coigny heading downhill towards the tight left-hander, or tough left-hander. It's not particularly tight. It kind of opens into now much tighter left-hand hairpin at the top of the hill. Big sausage curb on the inside of that bend as well that you need to still steer well clear of.
Right, final 30 seconds, Johnny. We're suddenly starting to get a flurry of quicker times coming on the screen. Not so much in terms of overall lap time, but because it's early in these flying laps. Just had an improvement from Laurent Millara. He goes up to 6th in number 53. Number 4, we look at it, has been demoted. Alexandre Coigny back to 7th place. Can he improve as he comes over the start-finish line? He's got to find a couple of tenths of a second, which he does not do. He's got one more chance, though. 5 seconds and the checkered flag will be out. So at the moment, it's looking like pole position for sure for Jean Gloria. He can start celebrating. Replays, the cars really do bounce around the circuit.
Yeah, that was Ross Warburton into a spin, in fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slowest on the time charts. He was just starting to pick up the pace, and rather cruelly around came the tail.
147.6, the man the time rather, for Ross Warburton in the number 14 car, but that's something that Alex Kapadia can work with as progression for Ross continues. It's a famous surname that Ross has, and connections with the bread company are certain, because Ross is part of that famous bakery family back in the UK. As down towards, or up towards, the right-hander at 11 goes the M Racing car, I think that is.
This is one. Laura Millara went up to 6th place last time around and is improving his around this course of the lap, but he's 2.4 seconds off that ultimate pace. But the real pace, I suppose, effectively is he's 1.4 seconds or so off the pace, because Jean Gloria so far clear of the rest. Will there be a final improvement? The checkered flag is out, and there's Jean Gloria smiling away down in the garage. So another job very well done for him. And for DKR Engineering, last time's just about to come in. Laurent Millara waiting for him to complete. Will he improve? Up out of the dip he comes. He's got to find quite half a second to move up a position, which he does not do.
No, so no improvement for the M Racing entered 53 car of Laurent Millara. We're still awaiting Alexandre Coigny to come across the line, and Claudia Sedanovic already back in the pit lane as well. So Tony Wells doing a good job there to certainly get the car on the front row. They'll be scratching their heads a little bit down at Nielsen Racing as to that gap of 1.3 seconds, though. How do you even start to approach closing that down? And it's somewhat ominous for the race tomorrow, considering if that's the sort of advantage it has on a single lap pace, how is a 2-hour affair going to unfold tomorrow morning? This is what Jean Gloria thinks of it, though, now joining Charlie George.
Well, congratulations, Jean. It's another pole position for the Norma.
Yes, thank you very much. Very happy again with this pole position. First laps, I had a little bit problems with the traffic, but then the third lap was good, was better actually.
So is the goal today another win to add to your tally?
Of course, that's why we are here, to win.
Thank you, well done.
Thank you.
And if they do win tomorrow, then that will be a clean sweep for certainly the latter 4 races of the season. And the regular part of the Michelin Le Mans Cup has been dominated by the number 3 DKR Engineering crew. Laughing and joking taking place between Alex Torrell and Jean Gloria, and the rest of the entry kind of scratching their heads if they brought a Ligier JSP3 to Portimão. DKR Engineering then taking another pole position for 2017, 141.4 and 1.3 seconds clear of everybody else. Nielsen Racing second fastest, the 39 Graf car driven by Eric Trouillet third fastest, Duquesne Engineering fourth ahead of the other Graf car. Fifth fastest was the Adrian Schiller driven Graf machine ahead of Laura Millara, one of the last cars to cross the line and to receive the checkered flag. It's an early start tomorrow morning for these Michelin Le Mans Cup cars. Both LMP3 and GT3 run in the same race. I think the first time we've had a Sunday race since this championship began at the start of last year. So do make sure you're tuned to the relevant channels to get our coverage from bright and early tomorrow morning here in Portimão. From Bruce Jones and Johnny Palmer, it's bye for now.